I'm Jean-Gaël Collomb. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Wildlife Conservation Network, and I think we start today on those words from Dr. Jane Goodall with a pretty heavy heart, but at the same time also a heavy sense of gratitude. We've lost a global icon. I think many people in the room and many people throughout the day probably will feel that. We've lost a scientific pioneer. For many people here, we lost a friend. We lost a beacon of hope. But at the same time, we also have to celebrate all the things that Jane gave us. And she gave a tremendous amount to WCN. I don't think WCN would be where it is today if it hadn't been for many of the contributions from Jane Goodall. She came to many expos. She spent many hours here. Actually, I'd love to see how many people here have seen or heard Jane at one of the expos before. Just raise your hand. So that's like a lot of people in the room. And how many people actually came to WCN because they first came to see Jane and then stayed on for all the other conservationists? Also, please raise your hand. Or fewer, actually. I don't know how that is. And how many people felt inspired by Jane and when you heard her speak? So I think that's a universal feeling. And when we kind of look around the room, I think we can see the legacy that Jane had on all of us, on the conservation community, and really when you look through all the achievements that she's had on the world. Personally, I grew up wanting to be Jane Goodall. I have this feeling that there are many people in the room who wanted to do the same. I didn't end up being Jane Goodall, but I had the pleasure of working with somebody who had worked closely with her. That individual became a close mentor of mine. I went to hear her speak when I was about 20 years old in Washington, D.C., and I was able to go and meet her in the green room. We had a brief chat. A couple months later, I wrote her a letter asking her for some career advice. And I had actually written to, I think, over 100 people. And she was probably one of 3 people who wrote me back. And by far, she was the most famous of all of them, the busiest of all of them. And I was just absolutely floored that this global icon, this conservation celebrity, was taking the time to write back to just a student. And I think that's who Jane was. And she inspired me by telling me that I should just follow my dreams, find a way to contribute to conservation in the way that met the needs of conservation, that suited me. She didn't give me a job or anything specific, but she just gave me something to just move forward and make my life what it is. And I think she's probably impacted so many of you around the room with that. She taught me humility. She taught me gratitude in that handwritten letter and the fact that she wrote back. She taught me that a single act of kindness could really make a difference. And I think that was her message of hope that she had for so many of us. And that story isn't unique. And I think that's the point. I think all of you, or many of you, probably have a similar story. It's some sort of exchange with her. When she was here at Expo, she was really engaged. I still have memories of her sitting out there in the sun, and she would sign autographed books after books, and the line would go all the way around, and she just sat there in the sun on a little uncomfortable stool and gave everybody her smile, everybody her time. She would try to walk through the auditorium, and she'd get stopped by everyone, even though it was the end of the day, and she was exhausted, and all she wanted to do was go home. But you would just see the same smiling Jane talking to you. Her colleagues would try to usher her away, and no, she just wanted to go and talk to people. She saw that mission of affecting people one individual at a time, and I think that's what made her so impactful. If you've had a moment of inspiration with Jane, you might have seen, well, there it is on screen right now, a QR code. So outside we'll have a little table, and you can go to that table, you can scan this QR code, and you can write how Jane inspired you, and hopefully we can kind of capture all those stories and make her legacy continue. That inspiration, I think, will continue. That legacy really is in this room. That legacy, I think, is through all of us and through all the conservationists. Jane came to Expo every other year, pretty much. It was really part of her schedule. She loved coming here. She came here, she gave us hope, but she didn't just come here to give us hope. She also came here to be re-inspired, to get hope herself, she would sit in the same seats that you all are sitting on and listen to the conservationists who you'll hear throughout the day, and be inspired by their story. She came here because she really valued that sense of connection. She enjoyed meeting people, but she also enjoyed listening to all the success stories from all the conservationists around the world. It isn't just one Jane. It wasn't just about the chimps. It wasn't just about Gombe. It's about all the things that she's been able to do, all the people she's been able to influence through the different programs. And I think that spirit carries on through Expo. So today, it's really hard to put all of our feelings into words, but I think there's no better way to honor her legacy than to carry the work forward, to celebrate all the conservationists that we have with us, to celebrate all the conservation wins, to take it one conversation at a time, one interaction at a time, because it's that sense of connection that makes conservation succeed in the long run. And I think it's that sense of connection that really illustrates what Expo is all about. It's the reason why we're here. It's a sense of interaction. You're not here to just listen to all the conservationists. I think you're really here to interact. We have people who carry out the mission of conservation every day in the field. And then we have hundreds of people like you who really care about conservation, who want to see conservation succeed. And there's often this very big gap between the feeling of wanting to do something for conservation and those people who are doing something with conservation as their life's work. And WCN erases that gap. It bridges that gap. It brings you together so that you can interact with one another and have that direct connection with all of you. So please engage with a conservationist throughout Expo. We'll have a little video at the end that kind of tells you what Expo is going to function, how Expo is going to function. But really, we have people who've traveled thousands of miles. They don't just want to have 10 minutes on stage. They want to spend the whole day with you and ideally stay in touch afterwards as well. So that same kind of feeling also extends to all of you. I know that in my personal life, except for a few exceptions, some of them in the room, I don't have a whole lot of friends who share that same passion for wildlife. So it's really great to be in a room where we're all united by that same desire to ensure that we have a world where people and wildlife can coexist and thrive. That passion that we have for wildlife, for conservation done with communities, I think is what unites us. So let's take advantage of that and talk to each other throughout the day. Before I really dive into the Expo and WCN, I just want to thank a couple of people who have made this really special and able for us to carry out the day. The Disney Conservation Fund and Wilson Sonsini Foundation that have sponsored this event, that are also long-term partners and make a lot of the conservation work possible. I also want to thank the Cal Academy of Sciences, with whom we partnered last night for an event called Wild Night Out at Cal Academy. Just show of hands, how many people were at Cal Academy last night? Cool. Did you all have fun? Yeah. All right. How many people felt more inspired after the event? Okay. And I'm curious, were any of you, did any of you buy your tickets since last night? Like, did you discover WCN last night? No. Okay. So I still want to work on that. I'm so happy to have like dedicated WCN aficionados to come here, but we had about, I think, 1,000 people at the Cal Academy, and I think we knew roughly half of them. So there were another half who were new to us, and I really hope that we can get them engaged in our community. Because I think one thing that's really become clear to me, and even clearer, I think, in these times that we live in, is that we are much stronger together. None of us can achieve this alone. Just like in nature, you know, the sense of diversity that we have is really important. It's part of our strength. It's what makes us resilient. So we really want to lean into that, because when we work together, I think we're unstoppable. There's so much that we can achieve, and wildlife can be a bridge for all the other differences that we have. But we can try to strive for this world where wildlife can unite us and create a healthier ecosystem for us all. The network part of WCN isn't just in our name. It really is that spirit of collaboration that drives us forward. It is part of our mission to really bring together conservationists and supporters so that we can advance solutions for wildlife and people to coexist and thrive. So this networking, this interaction, this bringing together of conservationists and donors is really, really important. So please make sure that you continue to interact with each other throughout the day. The way that we implement all this through WCN is through three kind of core lines of work. The first part is that we equip conservationists and supporters to be more effective at what they do. So for many conservationists, that means that we provide some support for them, strategic guidance. We have opportunities for them to network with each other, for them to meet you. For a lot of the people who come in the room, we provide the service of vetting really effective, successful conservationists so that you can invest in those organizations with confidence, with clarity that your money is going to have the impact that you want it to have. We offer that service to all of you, so please take advantage of it. Come to WCN. If you see any of the conservationists on stage, you're inspired, feel free to support them. We've done all the hard work. You may not have heard of them before, but we vetted those organizations. We know they do great work, and that's really important. I'm not sure why I'm suddenly on stage here on the screen. It's very awkward to see. So please make sure that you connect with those conservationists and that you have this confidence to invest in them. We can do that with a sense of guaranteeing you that if you want to designate your funding to go to a particular organization, we'll guarantee that 100% of that funding gets to that organization or that program. And we can do that thanks to the generosity of many people in the room who invest in WCN itself so that we can honor that 100% commitment. So thank you very much to all of you who invest in WCN so that we can honor that 100% commitment, and thank you to all of you who support the conservationists directly as well. We ensure that all those resources are effectively deployed, because at the end of the day, we really need to get funding out to the front line. It's great for conservationists to have a support network, to be able to talk to each other, but conservation work takes money, and so it's really important to make sure that a lot of that money gets deployed, and it's about 90% of the resources that come into WCN get spent on our programs. About 85% get directly deployed as grants out to conservationists. So it's really important to find efficient ways to get money out to the field with minimal red tape so that people can have access to it pretty quickly. And then we connect, and I think that's one of the most important things that you might see today through the camaraderie, the collaboration that you'll see at Expo. We really try to foster these deep, trust-based relationships between conservationists and supporters, between conservationists and conservationists, between supporters and supporters. It's that sense of networking that really advances us and makes us, I think, more powerful, as I said, stronger together. WCN, over time, has continued to evolve. So we now work in 69 countries, protecting over 210 species. We do that through a number of different programs. We have 28 partners. The latest 2 partners who've joined us are a partner working on manatees in Cameroon, the African Marine Mammal Conservation Organization. They're here, they'll be speaking today, and the Hirola Conservation Program working to protect Somali giraffes and Hirola antelopes in Kenya, and they also are tabling outside. So please make sure that you go meet them. We connect all these conservationists by enabling them to have access to each other, by providing them tools, by deploying this funding, and they really, really grow. When organizations join WCN, after a few years, you can really see the difference in how effective they are, and how resilient they are, and how confident they are, and so the path for growth is really clear and a really transformative journey. Our wildlife funds were really set up to try to reverse the decline of species across their entire range, so we do that for elephants, for pangolins, for rhinos, for lions, for their cousins here in California through the California Wildlife Program. And we've launched a program last year for painted dogs, so I hope people will continue to support the Painted Dog Fund. And this year we were proud to launch the Sea Otter Fund. So we're continuing to expand these opportunities to invest across the range of those species through these wildlife funds. We also invest in up-and-coming local conservationists through our Rising Wildlife Leaders program. We provide them with opportunities for mentorship. I think it's really important for young conservationists in those countries to see that conservation can be a career, and there's no better way for them to be inspired and to be supported in that when they see other people from their own country, from their own region with that path. And we have some of our Rising Wildlife Leaders program here in the room. Actually, I'm going to point that out. Can you just stand up so that we have at least one? I don't know if we have more. One. There we do. Thank you. So please go talk to them as well. Some of them will be on stage, others will just be at those tables, but that's really the scale and scope of the conservation efforts that you all are part of, that you all enable, is through all these different programs, all these different conservationists. So all the stories that you will hear throughout the day are proof that this model really works. And especially this first session that we'll get into is about all those conservation wins. An investment in all these programs is really an investment in the future of our planet, a good investment in conservation. So you're about to meet a lot of these great conservationists that I said, go out and engage with them. We have a little video to share with you so that you can understand how to make the most of Expo. We'll roll that, and then we'll start with our first session right after.
Ready to embark on your conservation adventure? Let's turn you into an Expo expert in under 2 minutes. 2 stages will run presentations simultaneously throughout the day. Check your schedule to plan which session speaks most to you. And remember, every presentation will be recorded and available on WCN's YouTube page, so you won't miss anything that matters to you. Between sessions, here's where the real magic happens. Head out to our marketplace. And this isn't just shopping, it's direct connection with conservation. Almost every booth is staffed by conservationists from that organization, and they are eager to share their stories and answer your questions one-on-one. Most items you see have been crafted by local artisans from the communities where our partners work. When you purchase these treasures, you're directly supporting both conservation projects and the families who created them. It's conservation in action. Remember to bring your receipts to the checkout counter near the entrance when you're ready to take your purchases home. For easy navigation, scan the QR codes on any screen around the venue to access our mobile schedule with real-time updates. And when hunger strikes, you'll find food just outside. And Chase Center's Stripe City is within walking distance. Remember, today is about connection. Connect with fellow wildlife enthusiasts, engage deeply with conservationists who've traveled the world to be here, and discover how your passion can translate into real impact. Your Expo adventure starts now.